please remember to leave a like, a comment, share the video about, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Thank you. Well, isn't this just fantastic? So it's been a while since we took the liberty of looking at Nick Rekieta, and there's a reason for that. His behaviour has become more aggressive, certainly towards those on social media. He has also held on to a consistent position of the truth will come out and he'll be exonerated. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll catch you up briefly. Nick Rekieta was arrested and charged. When the police searched the property, they found sherbet. That same sherbet was found on one of his children when they were drug tested. Now, there was some iffy information on that part that would say that perhaps indicate even that it was not confirmed. So we're going to avoid that part for the time being, even if it has been confirmed. Doesn't matter. We're going to avoid it. We're instead going to focus on the fact Nick Rekieta has mentioned seeking the truth or having the truth known because the Matrix is against him. The fact he's addled, agreed to terms to be regularly drug tested, and is getting more and more irate, which I'm living for, by the way. We're going to focus on a recent attempt by Nick Rekieta to have everything thrown out. Because that's how you get the truth, everyone. You make it vanish so you can then peddle your own message. In a courtroom, there's a greater chance of the public actually knowing the truth, but that's not how one controls the narrative now, is it? Recently, via Twitter, Breaking Boldo News, BBN, tweeted out that Nick Rekieta had submitted an appeal against his failed motion to dismiss, which does mean he is effectively trying to electric boogaloo his way out of this situation, and I keenly await the outcome of this one. What we're going to do is go through what he has claimed this time as a suitable reason to have this entire case dismissed. To the Court of Appeals of the State of Minnesota, the defendant, Nicholas Rekieta, requests pursuant to the criminal thingamajiggy, the Minnesota Court of Appeals exercise its discretion to review the order of the District Court and request this Honourable Court grant this petition for discretionary review. How exciting. 1. The Statement of Facts. The Sheriff's Office, here in KCSO, opened a criminal investigation into the defendant. To secure the search warrant at issue in this case, the deputy, Pomplum, knowingly and willfully deceived and misled the signing judge through this application for a search warrant filed on the 22nd of May 2024. Pomplun based his application on 3 distinct indices, none of which defendant argued were truthful or sufficient to warrant for a warrant to issue. 1. A report received on the 16th of May alleging possible child neglect and controlled substance use. A. Defendant in this motion for a Franks hearing alleged that Pomplun had failed to disclose to the judicial officer the existence of a May 20th letter sent to KCSO from the County Health and Human Services, informing the police that the May 16th report does not fit the definition of child abuse or neglect as defined in the Minnesota Statute Chapter Reporting of Maltreatment. This was 2 days prior to Pomplun's application for a search warrant. B. Defendant alleged that Pomplun's failure to inform the judicial officer of the prior determination is material as the initial predicate for seeking a warrant had already been deemed insufficient by the very county agency charged with protecting children, preventing the judicial officer from approaching a warrant application with facts necessary to authorize the intrusion upon defendant's home and repose. 2. A video made by Aaron Himholt, which allegedly detailed drug use by defendant. I mean, the streams were pretty much conclusive on that. And just the thing, they found the stuff in your home. It was found on the child as well, allegedly. It was in your home. I'm sorry, there are people making excuses for this. I remember this in the last video I did on this subject. People made excuses. The premise is where you are now basing your entire argumentation, because you know damn well everything that happened after you can't argue or refute. So you've had to go back to the very start to argue semantics. Now, of course, I fully accept, appreciate, and will respect the will of any court that determines whether or not to throw this out again. I'm hoping they don't, because I want you, Nick Rekieta, dragged through the coals. as you should be. No parent in their right mind would want any of that substance around their children. The only sherbet around children should be the stuff with a little stick they lick and dip into a bag of sherbet, not the stuff you cut with a razor blade. A defendant in his motion for a Frank's hearing alleged that Pomplun had intentionally misled the district court in his application for a search warrant by suggesting that Imholt was a concerned citizen. Pomplun asserted the defendant and Imholt may have recently had a falling out. Defendant alleged this was an intentional misrepresentation by Pomplun. On the 22nd of May, a video blog by Imholt referenced by Pomplun. Imholt makes clear his relationship with defendant had degraded far beyond a mere falling out. Imholt stated, "Peace, brother, is not what Nick told me when I said I would not be hanging out with them anymore. The text I got was something about what a flabby, misshapen, doughy piece of poop I am, and the world would be a better place if I unalived myself." Imholt, starting at 1:06:27, stated that he communicated to Nick, "Okay, addict," and then Imholt blocked the defendant's number. I love that you're using a petty retort with a basis of truth to it, because we watched you degrade over the better part of a year, as a way of trying to negate everything else. That is quite, well, quaint. Pomplun intentionally omitted from his affidavit that Imholt had made several threats ranging from thinly veiled to full-throated against the defendant. Imholt stated, "Nick, sweetie baby, first off, get help. Second of all, you better hope, and I said this last night, you better be praying to God I don't say what I want. If I said what I want, that's Mount Vesuvius. Let's make a quick rule for Nicky boy here. You keep my name out of your mouth in ways like that, and I can promise I'll be as good a boy as I can be." Sounds like a rehash of Will Smith. Imholt then proceeded, starting at timestamp, to compare himself to Lefty Rosenthal. Imholt made this comparison and similar threats at multiple points throughout the video. Pomplun misrepresented both the extent of the falling out between Imholt and the defendant, and Imholt's overt personal animus, bringing his statements well outside of the realm, those of a concerned citizen. You can hate someone and still be a concerned citizen, but I like you trying to be this pedantic. 3. A video supposedly made by defendant, in which a white powdery substance was said to be present on the defendant's nose. A defendant in his motion for a Frank's hearing alleged Pomplun materially misrepresented what had been able to review the video that was taken out of Nicholas's YouTube and Rumble social media sites. Pomplun stated the video was taken off of the social media sites. This was a misrepresentation, as those videos were placed in a private status on each platform. So you are being pedantic, because by making them private you had taken them off. You're not arguing that the taken off would indicate removed, but actually we use that term as well. You know that, Nick. I like you're trying to be very specific on purpose. Details do matter, I agree, but you're using it now to skirt what can and cannot be considered truthful. The defendant alleged that if a user attempts to access the video link on each of these social media platforms, they are informed the video is private, and the user must have special permission to access the video. For Pomplun to be able to review the original video on YouTube, he would have had to have served a warrant on Alphabet. The warrant has not been produced in discovery and would be a potential Brady violation. The fun thing here is, you are right that the original video is what really matters, but the internet's forever, and those clips are everywhere. B. Pomplun stated that on the 22nd of May, Imholt did a video blog where he talked about Nicholas and insinuated controlled substance use, and also referenced a video blog that Nicholas put online that had since been taken off the internet. Imholt clearly states, "So this woman who clips a bunch of stuff from my show, from Nick's show, DM'd me this. It was Nick telling a disjointed, drunken story on his stream. Here's the clip that got me riled up." The accompanied clip that Imholt plays in the video blog is just over a minute long. Pomplun states that the defendant's blog is 4 hours 4 minutes long. Pomplun therefore knew that the video presented by Imholt is an altered rendition of Rekieta's video and cannot be authenticated. Pomplun failed to inform the judicial officer of the unknown provenance and unreliable nature of the edited clip. So wait, you're calling it a clip now when it suits you? That's interesting. Details matter here. Clip seems to be a rather interesting choice. You also know that when it comes to fair use, he couldn't play 4 hours 4 minutes, but the 1 minute 11-second video blog bit he can play. Clipping is important. You could argue cherry picking and quote mining, and that's what you should do. But then this is where the whole your side of the truth you're hiding on purpose. You are trying to control the narrative and power play it, so they can only operate under what is available because you made it so that no one can see the original source, although many have access to it anyway. C. More likely, Pomplin's assertion that he was able to review the video did not necessitate serving a warrant on Alphabet, because Pomplin reviewed an edited version titled Nick Rekieta's drunk stream after losing his appeal. In discovery, the state produced a PowerPoint presentation with what purports to be a clip of the defendant's livestream video, as well as an image purporting to be a screenshot of the same. Not only is this video titled differently, it came from a different YouTube channel, Backwards Internet. That's COG, by the way, and was uploaded at a different date time from the defendant's original. It also contains a watermark not present in the original video. The watermark is open and notorious in the lower right hand corner of the video, and appears to mimic the branding of the edited video's host channel. This was not reviewed by Pomplin. This was a misrepresentation of a material fact to the judicial officer. I bet COG saw this and had the biggest wank ever. I'm not going to lie, I find this hilarious, because you made it a point to remove the original source material, or private it, so that you had control over what information was available. The threat of danger to children was too high, a risk had to be taken. So now you're arguing because you have made it a point to scorched earth, but not quite, and that you're in control of that information, they can't get it without going to Google, and you think that somehow negates what was found after. Now, of course, I support the process, just to be clear, but we're only on page 6 here, or 14, and I'm fascinated by how desperate you are to cite clips that are apparently out of context, because I can be certain even if it was fully uploaded without any watermarks, without any alterations, you'd still argue, and rightly so because it has to come from your channel first, you'd argue that it is somehow out of context. You'd then argue fair use and have it removed and have the channel struck from existence as well though, wouldn't you? See, any excuse for Nick Rekieta not to be accountable is what Nick Rekieta is trying to do here. But still, you feature COG. That's fun. Defendant filed a motion for a Franks hearing alleging the various material misrepresentations noted above. After argument and additional briefing, the district court denied the defendant's motion. They found that the information contained in the application was accurate and reliable for the reviewing judge. There were no clear false statements, significant material omissions, or material misrepresentations that caused the search warrant to be false, misleading, or in violation of the defendant's constitutional rights. But now you're filing it again as an appeal, and I find that cute, quaint, adorable, amusing, bemusing. Keep going up the alphabet with musings if you like. As regards the video, the district court held that it is unclear if Deputy Pomp viewed the video from defendant's YouTube channel or from a third-party channel. Even if the video of defendant was a copy taken from a third-party posting, there is no suggestion the content itself was doctored, clipped, altered, or otherwise changed. Oops. The district court also noted that using social media video as support for a warrant is somewhat unusual and caution must be used to ensure all altered video, parody, etc. are not used as support for a warrant. However, the court also then found that there is no indication that Deputy Pomplin did not watch the defendant's video, nor any evidence that the video is altered or parody or otherwise inaccurate. However, defendants specifically alleged that Pomplin not only did not watch the defendant's video, but could not have watched it, and alleged that the video that he did watch, which had been produced in discovery, had been altered, and it was a material misrepresentation to have reported otherwise to the signing judicial officer. Now this goes on for another 7 pages, 5 if you ignore the signatures on the final 2, all arguing that the police officer did not know about or consume the entire stream for the context to then be able to get a warrant. This was already thrown out though by the district court judge. It has been refiled as an appeal. If Nick Rekieta really wanted to prove his innocence and then back this up, his best option would be to provide the live stream video on his channel as evidence that the, warrant was not lawfully executed. Otherwise, he is solely trying to control the narrative, which means by extension, this is weak. When it comes to state law, I'm not as knowledgeable. You have 50 states and all have their own court systems. This isn't federal, so this makes it quite fascinating to me, and I don't know how it's going to play out. I do know though that it's obvious what Nick is trying to do, and I don't think he's going to succeed at it. But that's just me. My advice to Nick is to either make the stream public again on Rumble or on YouTube, give it to the court, or to the your lawyer perhaps, so they can prove that this warrant was invalid. Otherwise, you are just delaying because you've got nothing else to play.